Okay, Lauren, welcome to Grue, and thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Rocco. Killer clown shirt. Love it.
Yeah, hey, hey, goes with the theme, right? So you star in this really great horror film, and I just recently watched it a couple nights ago, Terrifier 2. And how how do you get in a mind frame to be scared, and like how do you prepare to play a role like that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, for all of my emotions, I just try to think the thoughts of the character. So that goes with anything, especially being afraid. So I try to, especially in my notes, I keep a binder for every single one of my characters. And I think, what is she trying to achieve in the scene? What is she thinking? What is she feeling? What's the subtext of the lines? So most of the time, I was just trying to get into Sienna's head in the
Yeah.
most way possible. Just think the thoughts she would think in those moments, which is, oh fuck, I'm gonna die, or anything, something like that.
Okay. And art art the clown is very creepy, very scary. And when you're on set, like David dressed as Art, did did you get freaked out at all or scared or?
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, because he's so funny, he decided the first day when me and Kaylee were working the first day. It was towards the end of the film, of course, because we filmed out of order. And he
Mhm.
was all in costume. He had everything. And me and Kaylee were in our trailers getting ready. And he like was in the window and he was just doing this horrifying face. And he just decided he would scare us. And there were moments like that, but luckily Dave didn't stay in character most of the time. He was just his own goofy, silly self. So he was a real pleasure to work with. But when he wanted to be scary, man, he would do it and he would lead.
And I was reading, like, for the film, you actually did most of your own stunts, and that you train with martial arts and teach kickboxing too.
Yeah, I do. I've been doing martial arts my entire life, and I only started teaching kickboxing in 2019, and I really love it. It's a great outlet for me. It's just a nice break from acting, which I think I need because it's just good for my mental health. But yeah, I've been doing martial arts my entire life. I've done some stunts in the past as well, some stunt training, and I wanted to do as much as I could. There were only two things that Damien didn't want me to do, and it was part of the falling sequence where she falls through the ceiling. He didn't want me
Mhm.
because it was a very big fall and just falling on the ground. He didn't want me to do that as well. But most of everything else, all the fighting, all the other falls he made me do, which some of them were pretty intense. So yeah, I was really happy to get in and feel everything Sienna was feeling.
Oh, wow. So basically, towards the end, you kicking Art's ass was all you.
All me. That was all me. I mean, we were very careful. And yeah, he did get hit a couple times by accident with the cat o' nine tails. But luckily they were rubber. So, I mean, it might have hurt him a little bit, but not as bad as a real cat o' nine tails would. But we were very as safe as we possibly could be. We had a stunt coordinator on set for most of the time. So it was good.
So nice, nice. And the the costume you wear for the film, when you're getting dressed up, I it looked absolutely great, but I was reading it didn't feel great to have it on you.
It was awful. I hated it. It was the absolute worst. And I think the reason why it was the worst was because the person who was supposed to finish the costume dropped out last minute. And then Olga and Jackie, who was wardrobe, hair, and makeup, they just kind of took on the responsibility, even though it wasn't their job to do it. And they kept it together with duct tape, with staples, everything. It was just so uncomfortable. It wasn't finished. So the material that you saw that she was wearing, it wasn't padded on the inside. So it was just touching my skin. So I'd get a lot of blisters, a lot of cuts, a lot of bruises. It was a nightmare. I hope I never have to wear it again, but who knows?
Well, if they bring you back for Terrifier 3, if they decide to make it, like, if they put you in that outfit again, they have to make it a little better.
They can upgrade it a bit and I'll be so on board.
Yeah, exactly. And Was there any scene that you love filming the most?
Oh, maybe the last scene with the final standoff between Sienna and Art. It was really cathartic. I loved that scene. We didn't do a lot of takes for that. And I don't really remember getting much direction from Damien. I just kind of let it all out. I was ready to just, have that visceral feeling. And it just felt really good. I would do that every day, just yell and scream. And it was awesome.
Nice. And for the film, like how does it feel to actually be a kick kick ass strong feet female lead, and like that must be so great for you to be like a lead a lead woman for the film.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I've ever wanted my entire life. I grew up like really enjoying Bruce Lee and being such a fan of his, and I wanted so badly to be that badass character. Um, I mean, my love for cinema got me into martial arts, and that's why I love Bruce Lee so much. And so to be able to play a kick-ass character, in the vein, not so much like Bruce Lee, but like maybe one day, um, it's all I've ever wanted. And I hope that I can continue to be able to bring strength to as many roles as I'm fortunate enough to earn.
Nice. And I was reading online like you wanted to show her flaws too. Besides kicking butt, like you wanted to show the flaws too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the beginning of the film, she's just a teenage girl who has anxiety attacks, and she's flawed in that she's not a perfect person. She's kind of bratty at times. She's kind of whiny. She like picks on her little brother. She like judges her brother. Like, she's just a kid who isn't perfect, and I love that. I think that makes a character more real, and it makes it more interesting for her to find her strength. Her arc becomes so much more impactful at the end because you see her as this, kind of whiny teenage girl. And then at the end, she decides that she needs to fight for her brother that she's been picking on since the beginning of the film. So yeah, I think it's important for every character to be flawed because it makes them more close to us as humans.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. And was there any like cool behind the scenes stories that happened while you were filming?
Oh my gosh, I think this is 2 and 3 years ago. I don't even know if I can remember any. I mean, there was this White House that we all stayed at, the most of the cast and crew, and apparently it was haunted. I didn't see
Oh,
any.
really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I like to pretend that ghosts don't exist. It's not that I don't believe they could exist. I just think choosing to believe they don't exist is better for me because I don't think I'd be able to live knowing that ghosts are real because it's just too much for me to handle. So I kind of like close my eyes and my ears to those stories. But apparently, where we were staying, there was some bumps in the night and they were apparently spooky bumps. So yeah,
Wow. Okay. And for Halloween this year, did you dress up as anyone?
not anybody in particular. I went to this party and it was like vampire themed. It was really awesome.
Nice.
So we just like decided to like put on the fake fangs and dress like a vampire a little bit. And I went out with my partner and my cousin the last 2 weekends, and it was an incredible time. I wish every weekend was Halloween. So yeah,
Same.
it's my
Like,
favorite. Yeah.
oh my God, Halloween is like the best. Like I love it. I was out all weekend long, different costumes. And
Oh,
do you ever go to the haunts too, like the haunted houses and the hay rides and
oh, yeah, I didn't do as much as I was planning on doing this year. There was just so much going on, but I actually did go to the Fright Factory where we filmed the ending of Terrifier 2. It's this haunt in Philadelphia. It's a really great haunt. I highly recommend it for anybody on the East Coast who can make it there. It's one of the best haunts I've ever been to. And I went there to see the owner, Frank. He's so great. And they let me do the walkthrough, and it was just fantastic. I go there every year now.
oh my wait, that's where I live in Philadelphia and I go there all the time.
Hear the accent. I wasn't going to say anything. And I was like, this guy sounds like he's from Philly. Yep, yep. So I did go there this year, and I'm from Philly.
Yeah, really.
I'm from Philly. So yeah, we filmed some of our most of it was in upstate New York, kind of Joe Harry, but we also filmed at the Fright Factory in Philly.
That is so awesome. Which scenes were the ones from the Fright Factory?
Everything in the Terrifier. Everything in the Terrifier. So when they entered that like weird carnival haunt looking thing,
Yeah, yeah.
the whole ending was in the Fright Factory.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. I mean, I go there every year and I didn't even recognize that.
Yeah. I think they build new attachments to the haunt every year. So even this year when I went, they had like a new strange mirror like walkthrough. It was really cool, but they didn't have that in the film. So yeah, they upgrade every year. It's such a great haunt.
Wow, that's so awesome. You ever went to like the Eastern State Penitentiary too for like Terror Behind the Walls?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think the Terror Behind the Walls, I went last year. It wasn't like it used to be. I think they made it a little bit more kid friendly, and that's totally
Yeah.
had some friends go yesterday and I was invited. I just couldn't make it. I ended up just picking up some pumpkins and we were going to carve pumpkins, but we were just like, oh, let's just watch some scary movies and we're good. But yeah, I loved Eastern State my entire life. It was one of my favorite haunts, but I don't know, Fright Factory has kind of stolen my heart ever since Terrifier 2.
Yeah, that's so good. And it's in like a little area in South Philly where I live at, and no one would know like that there would be a haunt there.
So like just it's so secluded. You really have to search for it. And it's so great. I'm so happy you've been there. It's one of my favorite places.
Yeah, same. So Art versus Pennywise the Clown. Like how do you think Art would beat him?
He would destroy him. Pennywise feeds off of fear. Art is never afraid. And he feeds off of children's fear. Like that's creepy. So I mean, I love Pennywise. Don't get me wrong. I love Stephen King. He tweeted about Terrifier 2 twice. Like he's a horror god. I just feel
Mhm.
like, Art's a bit more brutal than Steve or than Pennywise. So I just feel like in
Definitely.
comparison, I feel like he would easily beat him.
And what are some of your favorite horror films that you've watched during Halloween season?
Yeah, definitely. I watched Halloween 1978 like multiple times around this time of year. It's probably my all-time favorite horror movie. It never really scared me. I think it's because I grew up watching it and it's more of a nostalgic film for me. And I love Jamie Lee Curtis and I love Mike Myers. But I also really love all of the Evil Deads and I love Evil
Oh
Dead.
yes.
I think Mia Allen from the 2013 remake is probably my favorite final girl of all time. I think she's brilliant. But yeah, I don't know. So many, all of the Evil Deads, all of the Halloweens. I watched the first Saw again for the first time in years, which was fantastic. And all the other Saws are great too. I don't know, so many. I also like just watched the Treehouse of Horror. This
Yeah, The Simpsons. Yeah.
like I really love that. Like it's like they're upping their game every year. I don't know how they continue to stay fresh each year. They've been out for like over 30 years. It's
I
just
know.
so yeah, those are some of my favorite. And it ranges from that to also like I love Hocus Pocus and stuff like that. But I do gravitate towards more of the scary movies.
Sweet. And I'm gonna ask like one final question because I know the time limit and all that. Um how like you talked about the final girls like Jamie Lee Curtis and stuff, and how does it feel to be in that same world now, being a final girl for Terrifier too?
It's every time someone puts me in the same sentence with like Jamie Lee Curtis, with Nev Campbell, with Sigourney Weaver, it just floors me every time. I'm so endlessly and eternally grateful to even be in the same thoughts as with those women because they've inspired me my entire life. I don't really have much words for it. I'm just grateful. And I hope that Sienna will live on like those wonderful final girls because they've inspired me endlessly my entire life.
It's awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you taking time out. I love Terrifier too. I I love how you are in the film. Like you have the flaws, but then you kick butt too. So great horror movie, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Rocco. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely.